Hey y'all, I just want to give you a little talk about the Naboo the Naboo fiasco. And what I'm meaning is by episode 1, the Phantom Menace. So, Master Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan literally arrived on Naboo as ambassadors for Supreme Chancellor Valora. Or, right now, ex-Supreme Chancellor Valora. Which I'll talk about why in several minutes. I mean, and what does negotiation do? Never took place on some droid control ship above Naboo. And what does Gunray do? Set up battle droids to kill them all, to kill both of them off, but to no avail to where they literally escape to Naboo, whose planes into the Gungan swamplands, swamp life, and who they encounter? Jar Jar Binks, and I know you Jedi and rebels and politicians are out there. There ain't even smugglers. Have mixed feelings about Jar Binks as being this goofy Gungan. Again, from a swamp life on Naboo. I mean, after he literally convinced Boss Nass to take him to Naboo's capital city of Theed, and warn my grandmother, their Padme Amidala. Yes, Padme Amidala is my grandmother. And my mother Padme Amidala was the queen at 14 years old. The same age I was when I got baptized. So, what do you know? Like grandmother, like grandson, right there. There you go. Anyway, they rescued her. Qui-Gon, Jar Jar, and Obi-Wan rescued my grandmother, and her handmaidens, and RSF, Royal Security Forces, RSF for short, and freed the pilot. He lets and C.O. Bibble hid in plain sight. And what did they do? Got past the blockade, though barely, on my grandmother's royal ship. And due to the fact that they got shot through their ship got shot, and their shields were temporarily down and damaged the hyperdrive to where they had to make a stop on Tatooine. And there on Tatooine, Qui-Gon, Jar Jar, R2, and my grandmother met my grandfather, Anakin Skywalker. And yes, Anakin Skywalker is my grandfather. And funny thing is, grandfather was a 9-year-old slave boy on Tatooine under Watto. And And several days later, and a few hours later, my grandfather took my grandmother, Qui-Gon, R2, and Jar Jar to his home to meet with my great grandmother, Shmi Skywalker. Yes, Shmi Skywalker is my great grandmother. And my great grandma did allow my grandfather to pod race. And Qui-Gon, since that my grandfather was really, really, really strong in the Force, which ran down from our blood in my family. And the night before the pod race, Qui-Gon gave a midichlorian count check and transmitted to Obi-Wan, and it was, and the readings are over 20,000 that are above Master Yoda's midichlorian count. And that's what, and what did my grandpa do? Defeats a Boba who's a Dug from Malastare during a pod race, which every pod racer was like either wrecked, killed. Either got wrecked or killed or veered in the wrong direction. And luckily my grandfather did set him. Luckily my grandfather won, and my grandmother was like, we owe you everything, Annie. And my great grandmother was like, it's so wonderful, Annie. You have brought hope to those who have none. I'm so very proud of you. Mm. Now that's just a very sweet thing for a mother like great grandma. And after the hyperdrive parts were taken to the royal ship, what did Master Qui-Gon do? Set grandfather free to become trained as a Jedi. But unfortunately, he had to leave my great grandmother behind. And like my great grandmother said to Grandpa, now be brave and don't look back. And then later on, Qui-Gon faced Darth Maul, who arrived the night before the race. And after Qui-Gon barely escaped him, they head to Coruscant to tell the Jedi Council and the Senate about the Naboo fiasco. But what does the Senate do? They don't give a dang. They just don't. And the Jedi Council, they think that my grandpa's too old for training. So what does my grandmother do? Vote of no confidence in Chancellor Valorum's leadership in order to give Palpatine the position of Chancellor. That's why I said. That's why I call Finis Valorum ex-Supreme Chancellor. Because no one, his terms as a Chancellor are just, he got voted out. Anyway, and grandmother decided to return home to Naboo along with Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, and the rest of the gang, including my grandpa, to take matters into her own hands and form an alliance with the Gungan against to destroy the Trade Federation, which They use the Gungans as bait to draw the droid army away from the city. Which, that does seem kind of dumb. And what do? They ultimately succeeded because my grandfather destroyed, as a 9-year-old little boy, my grandfather, Anakin Skywalker, destroyed the droid control ship orbiting the planet with Bravo flight, and grandmother captured Viceroy Newt Gunray. The droid army was distracted by the Gungans. Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon Obi-Wan defeated Darth Maul with Qui-Gon's lightsaber, due to the fact that Qui-Gon Jinn was killed. With Darth Maul defeated, and some believing Darth Maul to be dead, what does he do? What does Qui-Gon do? Made Obi-Wan promise to him to train grandfather. And with that, Master Qui-Gon died. And rest in peace, Master Qui-Gon. Because they gave a funeral only several days later. And after Obi-Wan was granted permission to train grandfather. And then the next day after Qui-Gon's funeral that night, they celebrated on the court, celebrated their success of defeating the Trade Federation. And I know a lot of you people may got some mixed feelings about the Naboo fiasco. And like I always know, the prequels ain't perfect at all, but because it's got its flaws and amazing stuff. And my favorite thing is the pod racing, because my grandfather was involved, and that's where my youngest brother, Anakin Solo, yes, Anakin Solo is my youngest brother, which he got his pod racing skills from. So it's like grandfather, like grandson, right there. Youngest grandson. Anyway, guys, may the Force be with you, always.